Hey YouTube, it's Backyard Pioneer. Thanks for joining in today. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Benchmade 810 Contego. One of my favorite knives. This knife's got a lot going for it. Let's jump right in with some stats here since we got it closed. 5.3 inches closed. Pop that bad boy open. As you can see, it's buttery smooth and super fast in the hand. 9.28 inches. Blade length. Take a look at that beautiful reverse tanto of 3.98 inches. And a blade thickness of 0.156. I'd say the only thing, she's a little on the portly side, but for a big knife coming in just shy of 6 ounces at 5.92 ounces, that's not too bad. Especially since it's premium steel, premium handle material, premium lock. This knife just has a lot going for it. Ergonomics wise, you can see if we get zoomed in there. Beautiful high traction G10. Benchmade really is made their bones with. I like this. Sometimes with other makers you can get that like non-high traction G10 where it's kind of slick. You don't really get this. Gloves in the bare hand, this one's really going to hang on. It's got a decent amount of jimping. Got some good jimping there. Underneath. The jimping I really thought was pretty cool was on the spacer here, especially with that black oxide look. Just kind of badass. Ergonomically, it's really comfortable in a variety of grips. You can see one bitch I actually do have about it is and probably this is the only bitch you're going to get about this knife, is the glass breaker here. I think it's a little bit unnecessary, and I find if you're going to come a little bit uncomfortable with your thumb if you're going in an overhand, kind of like an ice pick type of grip. I mean, let's just look at that knife. It's just really stunning. The scallops are just so cool. I've seen other reviewers mention that they find it can rip up the hands a little bit. I don't find that, but I mean, look, I do got big chunky lineman hands, so maybe I just don't notice. But I've passed this knife around at work. I mean, I guess to other linemen with their big chunky, fat fingers, and they haven't noticed that it was too rough anyway. So take that for what you want. High traction G10, comfy in most grips. Mentioned the glass breaker, the scallops are cool, jimping, and like I said, just right on that black oxide, that's just pretty badass if you ask me. Looking at the blade, it's reverse tanto. I think what really makes this one special is the steel. This is an M4, it's a tool steel. The full name would be CPM M4, and I think I get a kick out of it because this is the steel that cuts other steel, so it's really just going to be badass. You can see it has Benchmade's BK1 coating on it. That's because M4 isn't a stainless steel, so you don't have to worry about rust and stuff like that, or getting a patina on it. I haven't found that too much. I may use my knives a lot, and I'll never shy away from using them hard, but they always get wiped down. I mean, you can see I don't try to keep them dirty, but if they get beat up during the day at work, what are you going to do about it? One word about the reverse tanto. I mean, besides just looking sick, I mean, I look at that. Let's just pop that thing out. You pop it out. It's tough looking. There's no other way around it. This definitely looks like if Darth Vader was carrying a knife, and not when he became Darth Vader, not when he was that pussy Anakin. This would be the knife he would carry. The way it's badass, and I'm trying not to overuse badass, but it's a bad looking knife. And I know my son would get mad at me for saying badass that much, but what are you gonna do? As I want to say with the reverse tanto, the tanto, I know someone will call me on it, but I call it tanto. What do you want from a New Yorker? It's going to put the tip in line with the pivot. It's supposed to give you increased stabbing power, but also puts a decent amount of material up near the tip, keeps that tip nice and strong. Talking about the blade, I don't know if we can see this. I had a little bit of a chipping problem. I really don't know if I can attribute that to the steel so much as I was up on a pole and I dropped my lineman's pliers and I had to cut an old drop wire down, and I didn't realize it was one of the ones with the really thick copper in it. And I know people who don't work in the industry might not know that, but if you're a fellow lineman, you know. I mean, sometimes you got to lean on your tools, and my lineman's pliers were down there, and I didn't feel like climbing all the way down the pole and then climbing back up, and no one else was around, so I kind of had to hack through it with this. And like I said, for cutting other metal, that's the only damage it took. I'll take that. And the rest of the knife returned to its regular razor sharp edge, so I really can't complain. This one has been okay to sharpen. I do most of my sharpening, I mentioned in past videos, on a Spyderco Sharp Maker. Honed up real nice, took a real fine edge, and I find M4 to be up there with definitely a premium steel. S30V is another one of my favorites with that. It's a knife steel that lives up to its hype. It performs well, and it stays razor sharp. It's one of those knives that I think you sharpen it because you think you should sharpen it, and not because you need to sharpen it, where you don't find that with lesser steels. And I hate to throw around that term super steel, but I would definitely put M4 up in that class. Talking about a little bit more about this is the axis lock. Those of you not familiar with it, it's basically a bar that rides back and forth on a spring. Let's look at it a little close there, and locks into a detent on the blade. I would say it probably gives you close to fixed blade strength. It's ultra strong. I never read about or hear about anybody having problems with an axis lock. I've never had a problem with an axis lock. And when you disengage it, just look at the way that blade just flops around. So that actually gives you a way you can, if you want, you can hold back the lock and try snapping it out. I don't always have luck with it, especially trying it here one-handed, but there you can go. So, you combine in the premium axis lock, premium steel, premium handle material, and you just have a cool knife. Carrying it's a bit big. I won't mince words about that. I carry a small Leatherman in my pocket, and that little on a pair of jeans at work. And I carry juice. I've got a couple of juices. The S2 version, I really love them. And I carry in that little coin pocket or pocket watch pocket that you have on the right hand side in a pair of jeans. And I find that carrying the two, especially I'm right-handed, so carrying my knife on the right hand side, the knife is actually big enough that it's displaced this Leatherman a little bit. It just makes it a little uncomfortable to have in my pocket. And then there's the weight, talking about that. But for this kind of performance, I can live with that. It's nothing that's definitely not a deal breaker. This is a big, beautiful knife. I love having it. I love showing it off to my friends at work. So I'll take that weight penalty. Plus, if you ever really need to lean on it, like I showed you with, just that little chip from having to hack through copper, you're gonna, if you're getting the performance for the penalty, I'll pay that any day. What for? Definitely a heavy use knife. I hate throwing around tactical. I know Benchmade's really billing this as tactical. It's in their black class, so it's tactical. And talking black class, what are you really getting? You're getting a lot of performance for it, but they put it in a black box and say, oh, it's black class. You could put it in a blue box. I still would have bought it. It's still a cool knife. I don't have a black box laying around, and I have to find out where it is. So just a good heavy use folder. If you're in the market for that, you can't go wrong with this. There's not too many tasks I wouldn't tackle with this. Maybe slightly overkill for EDC. If you're working in an office, you whip this out, they may kind of look at you funny. But like I said, I get to work outside with other linemen, and I may be their crazy knife guy, but this doesn't draw any attention on my job. And it's just a good looking knife. Look at that. You bring this out and everyone giggles and wants to play with it, especially because the blade's kind of heavy. So one thing I found, and I haven't found this with all axis lock knives, just a good, without touching the lock, without touching the thumb stud, it just pops out. And even without that, you can pop it with that. It's a cool knife. Fast for such a big blade. Talking about the blade just a little bit more. I love the design cues here. I love that swoopiness. I love almost like that false, almost like unsharpened swedge. Just takes a little bit of weight off of it. Just really makes it an attractive knife. It looks good. This is the kind of knife that wows your friends, I guess. Peers, I don't really own too many knives in this kind of class. I do kind of concentrate mainly on EDC. If I'm going out to the woods, I'm going to carry a fixed blade. But it's also another, and I should mention, this is designed by Warren Osbourne. He passed away recently, January of 2016. So I think that's kind of why I've been on a little bit of an Osbourne kick. Most of you recognize the 940. It's recognizable any kind of knife nuts. Think of the 810 as the younger but bigger, stronger, faster brother, which is kind of ironic because that's how my sons are. My second son's the big burly animal, and my older guy's, the little guy's catching up fast. So it's kind of funny to watch. So just do the wrap up here. You're getting big, tough knife, awesome steel, premium materials, just adds up to a premium knife. 5 out of 5 stars, even overlooking just the little bit of weight penalty you're going to pay for it. And that glass breaker, if I had the wherewithal, I'd grind it off, I guess. But I don't know if I really want to mess with carbide. It's comfortable in the hand. It's super fast, super attractive knife. I think everyone should have one. I'm going to throw a link down in the show notes. So if you're considering buying one, considering buying it through me. It's always appreciated. A couple of bucks goes into getting me purchasing more knives that you're going to see on review or on the blog or any of the stupid projects I got going on. So there you have it. Thanks for tuning in. Remember to like, share, and subscribe. That's my review. I'm the Backyard Pioneer, and that's my review of the Benchmade 810 Contego. Thanks for watching.